Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the online Darts Live Lounge. We are, well, not so much a man down as a shuffle in the team for this evening. Phil Bars is a very busy man because we've got some interesting stuff going on. We've got loads of stuff in darts to talk about, but we are also due, I believe, at around 9 o'clock this evening for the reveal of the 2024 Grand Slam of Darts draw. So that's what's keeping Phil busy. I am joined this evening by Jack Gobby Garwood and absolutely Cam McFarlane. Gentlemen, how are we?
Very well. How are you?
Oh, good. Yeah, good actually. Yeah, very good. Busy week. And a week off work, which was lovely. Had a brilliant time in Manchester. And I thank Cam for essentially highlighting all the best places for me to go and take Mrs. S. But we had a brilliant time, and then the back end of the week has been horrendous as a sickness bug has slowly blasted its way through all of my children. I've managed to remain, being the lesser involved parent of the two of us. I've managed to escape without picking it up, but it's been a little bit chaotic the last few days. Cam, how are you doing, mate?
I'm all right, mate. I'm not so bad. Yeah, the advantage is there for you of working as hard as you do the rest of the time. It tends to keep you a little bit healthier than maybe it might for others.
Absolutely. Yeah, it certainly does. Chat room is absolutely banging already. Clearly, everybody knows that through the course of this evening's show, we'll have some, not that we haven't got interesting things to talk about anyway, but things will probably take a more interesting turn in around 55 minutes. A little bit hello to everyone. We've already got some action in there. Daniel's in, Dell's in as well. Stuart, Mark, Anthony's in from across the pond. Kieran's in. We've got some members in as well. Andrew's in, Alex, Jamie, Owen, James. It's absolutely mad tonight. Please don't forget, folks, if you are watching but you're not subscribed to the channel, you won't be able to get involved in the chat room. There's going to be loads of stuff to talk about tonight, so please make sure that you are subscribed so that you can engage in some excellent banter. Clearly, as soon as we get hold of the draw or can talk about the draw at 9 o'clock, we will be able to do some predictions, and I'm sure that you'll all want to get involved in that. Where should we go first this week?
Indeed. Right. So Dan's done the intro because I'm frantically hurrying away in the background. This is what Bars does when he does everything last minute, which you may have stitched us up with a little bit here. So I think we should start with the conclusion of the 2024 PDC Challenge Tour over the weekend. I think this will feed us in nicely to where we need to be by 9 o'clock. So 4 events over the weekend, the conclusion of the Challenge Tour, and the winner of that obviously getting a spot in the Grand Slam, starting with a win for Alexander Merckx in Challenge Tour 21 over Daryl Pilgrim on Saturday. The Dutchman, definitely capable. Is he one that we want to see a little bit more from?
Well, the short answer is yes, isn't it? But that's the case for virtually all of the Challenge Tour, I think. And especially once we see, and let's be honest, there's a lot of players playing on the Challenge Tour that haven't managed to win an event. And they haven't managed to do it in the way that Alexander did at the weekend, where he played some really, really good darts. That quarter-final victory over Thomas Lovely was really good, averaging over 96. We saw a really good standard from him. And it is just a case of whether or not he can take these good performances on the Challenge Tour. He's managed to claim that 4th spot with that win. That win was a really important one. And you look at the players underneath him. Andreas Harrison, we don't really need to talk too much about because we've spent a lot of time on this show talking about him in previous weeks and months. So to finish ahead of him, Danny Jansen, who had probably a much better first half of the year than second half of the year. But there's a huge amount of talent in that top end that Alexander Merckx has managed to outperform. It will be very interesting to see what he does from here. Very interesting.
Indeed. Cam, a defeat in the final for Daryl Pilgrim. I'm just trying to see if I can see his stats now for the season. If Alexander Merckx is one we want to see a little bit more from, I think Daryl Pilgrim is the epitome of that more so than anybody else. That was the third final he's made this year, beaten in all three of them. I'm a little bit concerned for Daryl after this season because we've seen how explosive he can be. We've seen the superb performances he puts in. When he gets a Pro Tour call-up, he had that record of averaging over 100 the one time he was there and ruining the averages for a season that Dan Dawson banged on about on Twitter for God knows how long. We've seen him average 122, I think it was, at the Super Series, hit a 9-darter in defeat of 118 losing average, and all that madness. To finish 9th on the Challenge Tour is a great achievement in itself when you consider the players that have finished above him. But we've seen his struggles at Q School in the past, and that position means he's got to go back there once again.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest worry, isn't it? More than anything, it's not a bad season he's had by any means. Like I say, finishing in the top 10, he's done all right, but he was definitely one of those players you were looking at earlier in the year that you're thinking he's got to be right up at the top here and should be challenging for that. And he's someone that you would expect to see making it out of the Challenge Tour and not having to go back to Q School again, because, like I say, it's tough for everyone at Q School, as we know. It's no one's getting an easy ride through, and he struggled before, and it's a worry of whether he's going to be able to take that next step.
Well, he was a player, wasn't he, that in the very beginning, in January, once we knew who had a tour card for this year, once we'd got through Q School, we'd had the talk on the show about who were the best players without a tour card. Daryl Pilgrim was consistently featuring that conversation at the beginning of this year. In fact, I think, looking back, he was sort of in everybody's top 5. I think we did it with the chat room, didn't we? Ranking the best 5 players without a tour card. And he was in virtually everybody's top 5. I'm not sure he gets in many people's top 5 just 10 months later. We know he's got the talent still. And some of that is not really down to him. It's down to other people coming from not nowhere, but came and really shone in the various different places there are to play darts without a tour card. But yeah, we're going to have to see more from him because he showed so much promise. And I think a lot of people, probably himself as well, expected a little bit more from the last 10 months.
They did indeed. Look, I'm not going to go into too much depth on every event, but there is a notable shout-out from this very, very first tournament. Shane McGurk in his opening game. Stefan Hendrick has averaged 95 and not won a leg. He's been beaten 5-0 by Shane McGurk, who averaged 119.29. That, simply outstanding from the Irishman. And the fact we keep seeing this, not necessarily 119, but 95 averages, not winning a leg on a Challenge Tour, just shows that perhaps the best 128 or just the standard of darts is crazy right now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest point, isn't it, out of it? The standard is just utterly ridiculous now in darts in general, and you've got to be bloody good to get anywhere near even Challenge Tour level now, never mind sort of getting up there, getting in that top 128 and going and challenging for tournaments.
Yes, you do. On to the second event on the Saturday, and that was, Stefan Hendrick, after his opening round exit, made it all the way to the final. That's how good that man can be from Belgium. But he was beaten 5-2 by Andreas Harrison. Look, if there was a conversation about Daryl Pilgrim being one of the best players in the world without a tour card at the start of the year, there's certainly a conversation to be had about Andreas Harrison being one of the best in the world without it right now, because that man cannot stop winning. And to finally get it done on the Challenge Tour as well must feel brilliant for him.
Yeah, and especially without wanting to jump ahead, especially as we now know that some of the players who were previously in the best players without a tour card conversation have now earned themselves a tour card. It does bump Andreas right up to that top spot potentially. But I think we really need to see from Andreas. We've seen so much from him, amazing stuff down in Portsmouth. As we know, the year he's had on the Challenge Tour has been finishing 5th on that. But I think we do need now to really see what he's made of, to see him competing, on TV, PDC events. he's going to be a contender, and he's going to be a horrible prospect for anyone. I assume he's going to Q School. And
I presume so. I'd be more than happy to ask him at Champions Week in a few minutes, because he's already booked his spot back there once again at the Super Series. Cam, that must have done wonders for his game right now. He must be on cloud 9, because part of that Sweden team at the Europe Cup recently as well that did damage. Now he's winning a Challenge Tour. To put this into context, he'd already blanked 10 times out of 20 events coming into this weekend, including 3 of the last 4. So to go and get over the line in the fashion that he's done, and then, spoiler alert, back it up in the very next event, is outstanding from the big Swede.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say exactly the same. It wasn't just that he went and won this one, but then straight away, next one, just went in there and won another one. So, yeah, we've seen what he's done all year at the Super Series. Like you say, he's been unbelievable, and I'd be massively shocked if he's not going to Q School, and I'll be certainly questioning why he's not, because he has got the game, and he's now starting to take it into events as well, and not just on the Super Series, but do it on the Challenge Tour as well. So he's got to be in that position where he feels confident he can go there and get himself a full-time card and go and do some damage.
He does indeed. On to the third day of action, or the second day of action, but the third event, that final I did mention, spoiler alert, Andreas Harrison backing up his win in Challenge Tour 22 with another in 23, this time beating Connor Scutt in the final, which ultimately proves pivotal in the order of merit. Connor topping that table at the end of the season, earning himself a 2-year tour card via the Challenge Tour order of merit, pretty much secured via the general race for the World Championship. So those spaces moved down. We'll talk about all of the implications from the Challenge Tour shortly, but Connor Scutt is in some fantastic form, and to be turned over by Andreas like that, back-to-back days, even into the following morning, again, just superb from the Swede now.
Yeah. Like, absolutely tremendous. Really, really good.
And into the final event, won by Poland's Sebastian Bialecki, who, again, is another superstar in the making, in my opinion. We've seen him at a 9-darter at the UK Open in the past. I've refed one. He was the first one I've done at the Super Series as well, but he's just shown time and time again he's got that ability. We probably want a little bit more consistency from him as he steps up to the pro ranks now, but he is an unbelievable talent. I remember being at the World Youth Championships last year, the last 96, and there was a story breaking that he was 5-0 down on one of the boards and won 6-5. His opponent was on a finish in the following 6 legs of 80 or under every single time. Seb's taken out a 156, a 140, a 120 something. He has gone absolutely berserk from 5-0 down. The other lad has done absolutely nothing wrong whatsoever and been blown away. And for someone so young to have the ability to do that and the mentality to be able to do that as well, that just to be so assured of yourself is just a quality feature to have.
Well, I think that's what one of the key things there is his age. You know, the Challenge Tour, let's be honest, we've got a real mixture of let's be honest, people at very different ends of their careers. You know, we've got people at that top end of the Challenge Tour who are very, very young and are ranked in the development tour. And we've got people who are reigning champions in the World Seniors, and we've got them right, and they're mixing it at the top of the Challenge Tour. So within a couple of places of each other, we've got World Seniors champions, and we've got Dev Tour players top end, and I think that's what makes it very interesting. But it shows the consistency of Sebastian, that he's ranked 5th on that Dev Tour order of merit as well. We are seeing a very consistent level from him on these floor level tournaments or these floor level tours. He's managing to play very consistently, and he's only 20 years old.
Yeah, the fact he's won the tour card via the development tour, but is then winning Challenge Tours right before he steps up to the Pro Tour will give him so much confidence making that step up. Jamie is bang on in the chat room. It was Daniel Perry. I want to reel off the numbers because I've just gone and found them. That game I mentioned where he was 5-0 down in the World Youth Championships. He's literally the first game in the knockouts as well. So at point Daniel Perry leads 5-0. He leaves 102 after 15 darts for Seb to take out 148. He leaves 41 after 15 darts for Seb to take out 66. He leaves 40 after 15 darts for Seb to take out 164. He leaves 77 after 12 darts for Seb to take out 80. He leaves 109 after 12 darts and Seb takes out 141. And in the decider, I believe he misses a match start at the bullseye. Seb takes out 70 in 3 for the match for an 18-dart leg. Just ridiculous composure from somebody so young. And he just shrugs.
Bit special, isn't it?
He just got a proper set of stones on him, and he just not asked about the situation, whatever it is, just carries on going about his game and just doesn't get too flustered about it, which is a great thing to have in your locker already.
Yeah, and we have to remember as well that whilst it has been incredible watching what Luke Littler's done over the last 12 to 18 months, it has a little bit skewed perception of what we should expect from 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old players. Like, you have to remember, and you've got to try and retain just how special Luke Littler is, because, you know, Sebastian Bialecki at 20 years old is incredibly good, and for his age and his development in the game is developing wonderfully, and his mindset seems really good and his composure is really good. We've just had that skewed a little bit by watching a 17-year-old do that at a level to which most people could only ever aspire to. So you have to keep that in mind, that and not draw too many comparisons for players like Seb and Luke, as easy as it is to point the comparisons.
Yeah, we are at that point, aren't we, really, that we're like, Littler's just sort of ruined that perception completely. Like you say, it's usually we'd be sat here going, we're looking at Seb going, he is going to be some player in the future, and you almost feel like now he's 20, he should already be, he's old enough now, he's more than old enough. Like, when it's ridiculous, like, he's probably got another 30 years if he wants to.
Yeah, if he was going to do it, he'd have done it by 19, wouldn't he? He's no good. Like, he's on the way down now, if anything. Like,
Finish now.
Indeed. I'm going to answer a few questions in the chat room. So we're going to let you into a little secret here. I'm not sure we won't get in trouble for this. The draw for the Grand Slam has been done. It is embargoed until 9 p.m.
Embargoed.
It has been done live in front of the
draw.
audience at a launch event for the PDC this evening, which is where Phil Bars is. Obviously, he's not just going to drop us in it for this show for nothing. We cannot show you that draw until 9 p.m. The draw was conducted live in front of an audience at a launch event for the PDC. But we cannot show you it until 9 p.m. So we're trying to build up to that point now. We're trying to move our show on as that, but I just need to answer a few questions in the chat room. 9 o'clock, we can reveal to you the draw for the Grand Slam of Darts.
If you finish doing the graphic.
Yes. Well, it's done. But yes. So the implications then
quickly, and we cannot guarantee that there won't be spelling mistakes in it.
All right, they've been corrected, I've made sure. What the implications for the Challenge Tour then mean is that the tour card race was won by Connor Scutt, beating Wesley Plaisir into second place. That means Connor Scutt picks up the last remaining spot in the Grand Slam of Darts, so we know who the players were involved in that, of course. Plaisir earning himself a tour card. He's going to be a threat on tour next year. He's been another one who's been one of those players in the contention to go back-to-back in the World Masters. That caused some debate last week, but he's won the WDF World Masters for the last couple of years. I think he was also Dutch Open champion as well.
And he's won a Pro Tour already. So, look, he's certainly going to be a handful. The PDC aren't at anything, by the way. They've done us a favour by giving us access to that event. So, yeah. And the World Championship race, obviously, because Connor Scutt and Wesley Plaisir have both had such outstanding seasons as it is, both of them are already provisionally in the World Championships, meaning, not provisionally, it's done, isn't it? I think so.
Virtually. Because of the Players' Championships and the last Pro Tours minus qualifiers, that Christian Kist and Alexander Merckx are the two players in green on darts rankings that will then get World Championship spots via the Challenge Tour. That win for Merckx, Andreas Harrison falling just short on that final say, £325 short in the end. What an effort that would have been from the Swede to come from absolutely nowhere, earned over $5,500 this weekend on the Challenge Tour, which is not easy to do. Finishes just £325 short of qualifying for the World Championships. We've mentioned it a couple of times. We've led this on a little bit. I'm going to be honest. I don't know who created this graphic. We're not going to take credit for it. If it is yours, stick your hand up somewhere. But it was sent to us by one of the players certainly involved in the debate about best player in the world without a tour card. Here we have it. The stats from the Challenge Tour 2024. And you can see why Connor Scutt has won the Challenge Tour overall, because his name is virtually at the top of every single statistic.
Well, which ones he missed? He's missed what? Highest average. That's
highest
the only
average,
one.
And he wasn't
and he's fourth on that list.
How dare you only average 111 in one game?
Yeah, rubbish.
I think it's he's won 2 titles. But what it shows you then to be able to win 2, because what you would often assume is that if someone's going to be at the top of all of those things, most games won, most legs won, most 90+ averages, etc., winning percentage, you would expect, I think, to see a multiple time winner, somebody that's won 4, 5, maybe even 6 titles. But what
like a really good run,
it's just that consistently over the course of an entire year has just won so many more matches than everybody else. There's just so many more matches than he's lost. He has been superb. We've spent a lot of time this year talking about Connor Scutt on this stream because he's almost forced us to. Because he constantly puts himself in situations where he wins things or he performs in such a way that we can't ignore him. Especially because we do try and not only talk about, this is not the PDC show. We try and talk about what is going on across darts. And Connor has been pretty much at the head of what's going on across darts outside of the PDC for a whole year. At the beginning of the year, there's a few videos on this show of a few of us talking about what a year we thought he had in store, and he's proven a few of us. Well, it's rare, but he has proven a few of us to be correct. We might actually know something about what we're talking about.
That is rare.
I remember the message I got from him going, "How on earth did you know my year plan that well?" I was like, well, it's just obvious. You're not one that's particularly tribal about playing in any one or other organisation, and it makes sense for you to spread your opportunities. You are effectively, with the ability that Connor has got, we keep talking about there's no better time to not have a tour card. He has been one of the people with one of those golden tickets this year where he's been able to play Pro Tours as a top-up. He's been able to go and dominate the Challenge Tour in the way that he has and pick up those wins. The level of consistency that those stats showed there as well, by the way, the 90+ averages, playing more games than anybody else and at a higher level than anybody else. That is ridiculously good from Connor. I guess we now get to the position where we're asking, should he won a little bit more this year? Hasn't been as successful in Portsmouth as he would have wanted. Picked up a couple of WF titles that get him to Lakeside. Obviously, isn't going there anymore. Are we being greedy by saying we want more from Connor Scutt?
Maybe a little, I think. I think we all like to just see more of him playing. So we always want him to win more because he's just a great watch, as we've seen from all those stats there. More ton plus averages than the next 3 in the list combined. It's just a ridiculous standard. So it's a great watch, and you do want to see him going deep in tournaments. But I think the real thing for him out of this year is getting himself a tour card, and he's gone and done that. And I think that's the biggest thing he possibly could have done and would have wanted to come away with.
It does cause a lot of. We've seen that he's got the level and the game to compete on that tour, but there'll be a lot of things that he's done in the last year that all of a sudden he can't do anymore. A lot of income, let's be honest, he's earned more money. There's probably, I would guess, prize money alone, if we take away, what people are getting for exhibitions and things like that, I would just suggest that there's only Wesley Placia who has earned more than Connor Scutt this year in non-PDC prize money, would be my guess. Somebody will know. Someone will have the figures, but off the top of my head, I can't see it being anyone else. But obviously, a lot of those...
Harrison can't be far off with Super Series
wins. But I mean, but
Hendo as well. Hendo 2 seniors majors, including the Worlds.
Yeah, maybe. But the point I'm trying to make is not particularly to rank them, but more to think that there is a gap in Connor's income that he's going to have to plug. But with a tour card, he's limited to where he can go to try and plug that gap for what he's earned this year. So he's going to have to, we expect him to qualify for things, and we expect him to, to put a good run together once he gets that card in his hand and he can start to compete in everything. But he's going to have to do well.
Getting a good run at every single Pro Tour, though, is going to give him some serious opportunity to go and earn some money, though.
Is that why his position this year is so important? Because, look, playing-wise, he's probably more equipped than he was the last time he was on the Pro Tour, where he came back off straight away almost. This time, he's going in with the comfort at the moment of being a top 64 player. So he's got 2 years to start, plus a level to go in with already, and the opportunity to play in the Players' Champs, the World Championships, etc., that then give him a head start onto having a shot at things like the match play in your first year, which is massive. If you can make the match play in your first year, it's very, very unlikely you're losing your card anywhere down the line.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to set you right up.
Indeed, indeed. Right then, as I said, Connor's win did complete the lineup for the Mr. Vegas Grand Slam of Darts. Now, the reason we've gone a little bit early on this is, again, some questions around format and stuff. I'm not sure if they've been addressed yet, but lineup, 32 players involved in that. Barzy was pretty adamant that being in the top 10 should get you into this event. I disagreed last week, but I wasn't able to voice that opinion because my internet wasn't working. So we're going to have that debate all over again because Cam is present as well. The Grand Slam is clearly broken a little bit, but how much would you change about it, I think, is the conversation I want to have.
Well, go on. You've clearly got a point you want to make, so I'm going to let you go first because you said you didn't
have an issue with the draw bracket, which was allegedly being addressed, but nobody's actually clarified if it has or not. I don't think that you should play your group again 2 rounds later.
No,
it's silly. It's always been silly.
Yeah. Basically, they double seed because you get seeded into groups, and that then carries over into a bracket. Like, you either get protection as 1 of 8 or you get seeded once you come out of the bracket or out of the groups. But it should never be both, because then that creates A versus B and then B versus A, and then the winners of those play each other once again, and you're in that same quarter. Like, to me, that's just stupid. And it's been a while since I've said that on this show.
Even just for stupid. For watchability, you don't want to see people playing the same people. It's the argument we've had about other events, like the sort of seeing people play each other week in, week out in the Premier League and that sort of thing. You don't want to see someone play someone in a group stage and then rocking up playing them again the night or 2 after.
Indeed. Lender makes a good point as well. Look, Bars, Dan was firmly on this one as well. The leader of the Challenge Order of Merit gets in, but the leader of the Players' Championships Order of Merit doesn't. How?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I'm not... I am very much... I like the qualifiers, and I do like this idea of the fact that... Because I do... Obviously, we know that the tournament's lost a bit of its identity. And... I think, well, if you win something or you make a final or you get there, then that's how you get to the slam. Or you come through the qualifier, and we have a handful of qualifiers. But the Pro Tour has been won. Someone's finished first. We've had 30 events. Someone's scored more points than everybody else. There's a winner. It should be included.
It definitely should be included.
It should be included. Although, however, I do not subscribe to this. If you're in the top 10, therefore you should get in. Like I genuinely don't.
They get enough protection as it is for me, but someone who has one
not for me on that one either.
Top that order merits such as Dobie not getting in, I think, can be a little bit hard done by.
Yeah, because he's actually won something. He's actually come first in something. But yeah, the idea that just because you're 8th in the world, and therefore you get a place, I don't buy it. Because otherwise, what is the Grand Slam then? Like, what's the Grand Slam? It's not. It's not.
I don't think it's what's the Grand Slam then. I think that's a very reasonable question to be asking anyway. The Grand Slam used to be about pitting the best of the PDC, the title winners, against the top 8 players from the rival BDO system. Since that hasn't been a thing, I believe this tournament has lost its way. And now that we've got
not the same, is it?
Things like the Grand Prix addressed short races in the quarterfinals and whatever, and the Masters is getting a revamp, and the UK Open is still special, and if they take the Riley's qualifiers away, then we've got an issue. I think this is the major that needs the most focus on out of anything within the PDC calendar next year.
Yeah, I tend to agree, but I think all of the answers probably lie. The answers probably lie within the affiliate tours. You know, we've got the Asian Premier League, the CDC. We know the level that they're progressing to and the level of players. To bring one player from one event from North America, I think is it doesn't make sense. I think, you know, when we used to take 8 from the BDO, we used to take people from all over the place. I think that that tour and the level that tour is at, it can support at least 2 places from the CDC. I think the same again. You know, when we know that we've got an Asian tour and we've got an Asian Premier League, well, there's 2 slots for me. You know, that because you're continuing to reward winning something, but I just think that we can do a little bit more to make sure that places are earned and it has an identity, you know, and it has an identity that's different from. And I know the format's slightly different with the round robin, but I don't think we need 8 qualifiers.
I think that's a pretty clear consensus across the board that there were 8 qualifiers, which actually brings us quite nicely on the fact that we forgot that there was Pro Tours earlier this week and the qualifiers, and we jumped straight into the Challenge Tour earlier in the week. But let's talk a little bit about the qualifiers at this point as we try and get ourselves ready
for hours.
9 o'clock. Some big names missing out on the Grand Slam this year, not just the likes of Chris Dobie and Damon Heta, who have won multiple titles. One of the main talking points who we're going to talk about, in fact, let's do him now, shall we? A little bit of hokey cokey, will he, won't he play from Gerwyn Price, who seemingly announced that he wasn't going to play in the Grand Slam qualifier via his Instagram a couple of weeks back, saying only 2 more events to go this year, blah, 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 blah. Then had another pop at people saying, don't believe everything you read, when he was actually at the Grand Slam qualifier earlier this week, beaten in the final round of qualifying by Mickey Mansell by 5 legs to 3. Meaning,
don't believe everything you read normally applies to what other people write about
not
you.
What you've written yourself on your Instagram page.
Which led to this today, by the way. This is from Gerwyn Price's Instagram story once again. I'll read it out to you, folks. There were, when the last 10 years have been constant travel in darts or downtime with the family, you lose touch of everything else going on around you without even knowing it. Now, when there's no darts, it's like trying to fill a void. I finally realised my life is darts, and without it, I don't know what I do with myself. Fortunately or unfortunately for some of you, you're all stuck with me. Spelled you're wrong, but we'll let him off. Guar.
I'd never let anyone off for that. That is not acceptable.
Gerwyn Price seemingly has the bit between his teeth and is gonna.
I do like how he even ended that with a bit of a Gerwyn Price roar at the end of his thing. Good.
He put it there, not me. I just reading.
No, that's what I mean. I like it. I like that he stayed on brand.
Yeah, he should have that on the back of his shirt, actually, like a little line. But look, it's fair to say this year hasn't been great from Gezi. He's missed a fair few events, messing around. Clearly got bags of talent. A good Gerwyn Price is good for darts, isn't it? And the fact that he's seemingly realised that in the last couple of weeks, had an epiphany, shall we say, is a good thing for this sport where, look, Luke have both been brilliant, but there is a void at the moment in that gap just below them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think all of us just want to see Gerwyn Price at his best and playing good darts, and like echo a lot of what's being said in the chat now, that it does get a bit tiresome. Will he, won't he? Does he want to play? Does he not want to play? And sort of the response at sometimes, but at least you always get sort of an honest response from him. And when he's at his best, he is one of the most watchable players there is. And it's better for darts when Gerwyn Price is there and playing well.
It is.
I mean, yeah, it is. It definitely is.
You managed to mute yourself as you started talking, Dan.
I thought you'd done that too. You just weren't having it.
I don't know. He's never caught the M button as he's picked up his coffee.
No, I didn't. It's because Mrs. S brought me in a cup of tea, and I muted it just in case she called me names when she came in. And
we can do that for her if she needs it.
I was going to say there's plenty of candidates for that on here, to be honest, and in the chat.
Them up for the end of the show. Don't worry. I'm still not convinced. I think that for such a good time, whether you were a fan of Gerwyn Price or not, what he made for was watchable moments in darts. And that's why he was good value for the Premier League, because he made it watchable. Because even if he was arguing with the crowd, or in certain somehow he made it watchable if you weren't a fan of him, because it was chaos. What he had through all of that very consistently was a really strong, or it seemed like desire, desperation sometimes to win. And that when he did lose it, it was because he wasn't winning. It wasn't going his way because he was so desperate to win. What I think we've seen from him for the best part of a year is sort of ambivalence, where he's like disinterest, and it's not fun to watch. It's not enjoyable. It's not a good watch. He's not a good watch, and he won't be if he continues this sort of shoulder shrugging, don't know, not bothered, back and forward, might play, probably won't play. Oh, I got you, kidded you all. I don't know what he's getting at. Like, he'd go and find whatever it took you. Whatever took you to multiple major victories. Go and find it, because it makes it far more like, don't put us all through watching this.
Well, hopefully that is the epiphany that he's had, and the thought he's had, that he does want to be part of darts, and that it is what he wants. Then hopefully that gets him back to there. But it remains to be seen, doesn't it? And we'll believe it when I see it, rather than.
I do think he's going to have to win something to be at the Premier League next year. Now, I don't know whether him having a year off the Premier League means he gets loads of extra time at home with his family, loads of more time in the chippy, doesn't have to travel as much. Therefore, he's happy and he likes and enjoys darts again. Like, that could happen. And maybe a year away from that Premier League is exactly what he needs to just pot around, spend time with the kids, fry fish, be happy.
I think he needs that regardless. I don't think the format suits him at all. I don't think it has done for a while, and I've been saying that. I wouldn't have put him in last year. I would have left him and Peter Wright out, and they would have finished 7th and 8th, respectively. Like, it was not a good year for either. I guess it was slightly unfortunate, I guess. But, it just doesn't seem to work for them. Chris in the chat says, hasn't won a TV ranked TV major since the COVID era, which is another big factor as well, because he's had that love-hate relationship with the crowd. Kevin says, when Price is playing his best, he's brilliant to watch. Never been his biggest fan, but can't deny his talent indeed. But like I said, he will not be at the Grand Slam of Darts this year, as will no other Welshman. 32 players in that tournament,
Welsh
not
freeze
a
over.
single Welshman. And this isn't me having a dig. It's more of a, how has that happened? Because as a nation, they are still incredibly strong darting-wise, but there is no Gerwyn Price, there is no Johnny Clayton, there is no Jim Williams. I was literally stood last week watching Kurt Parry play brilliantly and Shane Haywood and Mike Huntley and going, the Welsh are coming, they've got numbers in their ranks. And then I saw this start last week, I was like, hang on a minute, how's that happened?
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Because there is elite players, there is a history of elite players, there is a brilliant, or it seems a brilliant sort of almost succession or line of succession of players coming through, and it just seems that there's a 12 months, 18 months where everyone's just not quite at the races, off the boil a bit.
Adam says, I had to look twice. I thought Rob Owen was a guest in the bottom review tonight. No, look, we struggled to get a word in edgeways when Cam's here, and the same can be said when Rob Owen is about, but they are completely different people. And I've got to put this one up on screen, by the way, because I did smash it.
I did not know you'd done this. I've clearly missed this.
I've not seen this yet.
You know,
You can't have smashed it up that much, or it'd have been in the group chat, surely.
I'm
Yeah,
not important enough, am I? Because like it was Russ Bray versus the Bullseye Challenge, but it was preceded by myself, Owen Binks, and George Noble having a crack as well. And spoiler alert, I'm the best.
How have you not put that in the chat? Like,
I was honestly, mate, I was too busy last week. I put this on Facebook yesterday. I refed 121 matches last week, either best of 7 at the Super Series, best of 7 at County, or best of 5 for 12 women's matches last week at County over the weekend. I did 3 Quadro matches as a content thing. That's also on YouTube right now. Absolute nightmare. Spoiler alert, there was only 5 players in that group, so Owen Binks was the 6th player, and they let him have 6 darts on a Quadro board. Fucking no chance of adding that up is the even when I was spread around, just looking at the
number of games that you've left. Anyway, I was going to say it must be close to a Guinness World Record for the most time someone said the word check. Anyway, so that's if you had to then do 6 darts on a Quadro board as well, you have no chance.
Yeah,
I'm devastated that when Gob tells us how many matches he's refereed in the last week, we haven't queued up in the back end Roy Keane.
that's his job.
It's your job.
Like it's like a bus driver saying, "Oh, I took 1,000 passengers last week."
Yeah.
Like, oh, fucking
Yeah, but it's a lot of games, isn't it? Like, I think that might be a record. I'm going for more as well because what I missed 4 games on Saturday at County and I didn't do Tuesday, so I think it's.
So you only did half a job as well, then basically is what you're telling us.
It's possible to do 140 games in a week, and at one point I am going to attempt that. I might not be alive the following week, but I will attempt that week. Anyway,
does the postman celebrate when he posts a letter?
yours might not, but mine does because I live on the 3rd floor, so he's got to come all the way up here to knock on the door. He's like, "Success, I made it." Let's talk about the 8 qualifiers then. Now that we've dropped the Welsh in it just a little bit, Keane Barry beating Timo Tricol, Martin Lukeman 107 average.
He played very
in his
well.
qualifying
did
match.
very well.
I get to
All
shout
game,
Martin Lukeman at the TV over and over again next week when the Fallout Bar returns. Don't forget, a week-long tournament means we'll be back every evening talking you through all of the action on the day. Ryan Joyce is heading to another major tournament, as is Danny Noppert, which we'll talk about in more detail in a moment because, again, that's part of the Grand Slam Week change. Cameron Menzies' fine form continues. He beat Matthew Dennett 5-2 to qualify. James Wade denying Michele Torretta, the Italian, a first major tournament, a TV tournament appearance. Played at the UK Open, I believe, but didn't make the TV stages. Mickey Mansell beating Gerwyn Price and Ross Smith, denying the Swedish Dutchman Jeffrey de Graaf in a last leg decider, averaging 99 in that one. First of all, you boys won't like this, but James Wade just continues to play well this year, and from almost out of nowhere. From almost Dan's on team Wade right now.
Dan Boy's on team Wade.
I just wanted some Michele Torretta in there. That's all I wanted.
He disappointed me. With some things that he's done in the last month or two, but I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. That's all.
Yes. But his fine form continues. He's actually on course to potentially return to the top 10 at the end of this year if he keeps playing the way he is, which, considering where he dropped out of the top 16 for the first time in a long, long time, that's a fantastic turnaround for Wadey.
There was some great darts. I mean, it's very easy to, you know, sort of wading, you know, and this think about, you know, that you look at that 97 average. Yeah, this is what but he also played some superb darts. I think he definitely averaged either 102 or 103 against Florian Hempel. I think the round before he qualified. I remember I watched it. I did a live stream for it, so we followed James for most of the day, and it was just a very impressive performance. But we are starting to see more and more impressive performances more regularly from James. He is finding something. Where that'll stop in terms of the ceiling to the level he can reach and then retain some consistency at, I don't know. But he's finding something.
There's still at least one ITV major this year, and we all know how much he loves to win one of those. Speaking of ITV majors, by the way, a quick shout out to Chris Mason, who is watching in his pub in Ilkeston, but he's not in the chat room because he is practicing away on the board ahead of the World Seniors Masters this weekend up in Sunderland. Myself and Dan are finally going to get to go out for a Parmo on Thursday evening, but we're all talking about the seniors later on. Another notable inclusion is Cameron Menzies, fine form, picked up a Pro Tour title, a deserved Pro Tour title. He's been magnificent this year to cap that off this week. That at Cam with a spot in the Grand Slam once again is superb for him.
Yeah, like I say, he's played really, really well this year, hasn't he? And especially on the floor events, and it's just now up to, can he now take that up on and do it on the big stage? Because I think that's the sort of the next question marks. He's done everything else at this point. We just want to see, can he take those levels up there? Because he's capable on his day of just playing some ridiculous darts that no one can sort of hang with when he's right on it.
Yeah, indeed. One final player we do need to talk about is Danny Noppert coming through the qualifier. Really, really good run at the European Championships. Picks up a qualifying spot here also. But he is one of those players that is now in the top 8 seeds for this Grand Slam draw that is coming to you in just a few moments' time because of the way the Grand Slam works. And this is something that, like we spoke about things we changed earlier, this is another one that I'd get rid of.
Silly.
The seeding in those pots should be structured differently.
Yeah.
Simply listing the 40 players into ranking order and going, right, the top 8 of those are this, the top 8, next 8 of the next pot, the next 8 of the next pot, and whatever. I don't agree with at all. We had that weird situation the other year where I think Wade might have done it, or someone else has qualified and jumped straight up to 6th seed. I don't like it. I don't like it.
You can't go through the qualifiers and end up seeded.
8 major titles go into this pot. Any other title winner goes into the second pot. Your international qualifiers are all in pot 3. And if you're going to stick at 8 qualifiers, which, look, we disagree with, but there are 8 qualifiers at the moment, they should all be in pot 4, regardless of who they are. If they've not been good enough at any point this season to pick up a major title and they have to go through that qualifier, they should be in a pot with every other qualifier. If that means Van Gerwen's had a disaster of the season but rocks up in Leicester and picks up a spot and ends up in there, so be it. Yeah. Let the carnage commence, because that's what should happen when you consider the different avenues to qualify for the Grand Slam, which are quite convoluted as it is.
Yeah, completely agree. I don't really think there's any more to add to that. I couldn't agree with you.
No, I think it was what he said.
I'll be honest, I don't really know what to talk about.
It's not often that happens either.
No. Have you noticed? We're agreeing. There's much more agreement taking place without Phil Bars. Have you noticed? It's weird.
It's a new thing for this show, and it might be turning people off, to be fair.
Everyone applies common sense, and we all go, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, well, okay, we'll have it.
It's amazing what happens when you take stupid out the room, isn't it? But now we're a little bit short because we're not allowed to show you the draw until 9 p.m.
Yeah, we actually needed to drag that out slightly longer. Anyone got anything else you want to talk about?
I don't want to start talking about who are you excited to see and whatever else, because look, you two have seen it. I don't want you to slip up and go, well, actually, they're in trouble
You
here,
can
or I
highlight
really fancy this guy, but now I don't, and whatever else.
a bit of darts news from elsewhere. We can highlight the Swan in Billingham have gone 3 wins on the bounce, 3 wins in a row in the Sunday Mixed League. Highlights from yesterday's win included a very nice 48 checkout by Dan Simpson.
Lovely.
You know, the crowd erupted. It was amazing.
Yeah, I've got a bit of darts news from elsewhere as well. The Melville in Stretford. I had a 1-7-1 the other night and proceeded to lose 3-1. That was solid. But no one else hit a 1-7-1 all night, so I'll take that.
Everyone else plays on the proper part of the board.
Yeah, but nobody had a 180 either. I had the highest score on the night, and that was all that mattered. I also I was on for a 15 darter in the leg with the 1-7-1 first leg and won it in 39 darts because my head fell off.
I thought we were entering a proper Cam McFarlane tall tale there when you were going to tell us the 1-7-1 was the finish.
Yes. Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. No,
the finish for me last week, that was a possibility.
I was going to say, yeah,
Yes,
that 1-7-1 on double 16.
On a Quadro board, that is possible, which was really
100%.
Let's talk about the Quadro board, actually. That's how we're going to fill time, because, look, it is back. It looks brilliant. I've had a play on it. I'll be honest, it comes up a little bit soft compared to some of the more dartboards on the market. I've thrown on pretty much all of them now because they've got to get that third ring. And if they made it too solid and compact it, then nothing would stay in the treble. Reasonably priced at around £57. I believe Dart Connect are one of the manufacturers or scoring apps that are building in a Quadro function into their scoring systems.
Yeah.
Do we think this board now is here to stay? We're going to see a bit more play with them. Can we see a tournament at any point? I won't be reffing it. Trust me, I've done my bit. Or is it just should it have stayed as a fascination from the past?
I think it's just a bit of a gimmick, isn't it? Like I can't see us having a tournament on it, and like you say, it's, if anything, it's done terrible things for anyone that's got one from the past, because now the value of them has just gone through the floor immediately. But
I have no problem with them being on sale. For me, anybody who's doing anything that involves chucking darts at a board is good, and it's good for darts. Whether it be kids, whether it be people dicking around, people playing with their mates, whatever. I don't think there is a possibility, or well, I mean, somebody might try it because people have tried some really stupid things in darts, but I don't think anyone should try and run a tournament on it. I'm sure people might run local daft bits in their own social club and things like that. Which by all means, that's fun. We shouldn't see anything on television from it. And let's be honest, it's not commercially viable at all, because most of the casual fans struggle to keep pace with darts as it is, and they rely on on your finishes and your scoreboard and everything. We see, whilst there are some very, very talented people, we see mistakes and errors getting made by directors, by spotters, various other things. You throw that Quadro
and we were just full board on our video for the main part, and then we worked out you could go up and down a little bit and get some of it in. And
as soon as
I'm going to be completely honest with the way that we did this last week, and it's not the most intriguing stuff, but as part of the conversation. So we gave the players a cheat sheet of what checkouts could be done and couldn't be done, because every checkout under 170 suddenly becomes possible. There are 14 between 210 and 0 that can't be done on a quad board. We've got half a spotter sort of going up and down, but not loads, because you're not really sure, because the difference is so small. You can't really follow a player's eyes around, and most of the time you switch because you need an odd number or you're blocked. Well, that doesn't happen on a quad segment. People are throwing downwards going, well, actually, that's 76. That's not helping me. I need a 19. No. I need the odd numbers. Then you have to switch back to the trebles. A couple of the players were like, I'm just going to throw on trebles anyway. They didn't. They gave it a go, but actually they realised the risk and reward perhaps isn't quite there unless you're incredibly accurate. Yeah. It's fun, don't get me wrong, but I had 4 people in my ear trying to add some stuff up as well, which is probably too many, given that it's such an unnatural thing to do. But a lot of referees and callers and spotters and whatever, we work on patterns. I've done county the weekend, and it's arguably more difficult to referee some of the women's B matches than it is men's A. because there's no pattern to some of the play. Like erratic darts aren't easy to add up.
No, it throws you, doesn't it, immediately?
It throws you. Like I could tell you what treble 19, single 19, treble 16 is because I've seen it so often, and I know when players are likely to go for that combination. I can't tell you what treble 19, treble 15, treble 12 is if players are just chucking stuff in like that at the same speed, because it's something that you have to be able to add up, and that's a longer process than going, well, I know where those three are and I know what that means. And I just don't think that it's not the best viewing. I'm counting for a ref at one point, and we still both stand there just looking, going, not sure what's on that.
It's brilliant fun. The idea that they sell the boards, like, I think it's great. Like, because I just think the more people that are picking up sets of darts for whatever reason, the better for darts. And if people want to, if people buy one, hang it up in their local pub and all have a dick around with their mates, then great. Like, keep one in the cupboard, get it out when you've got the lads round and have a chuck about with it. Brilliant. But I don't think it should be. I just don't think it will, because it's too hard to.
Yeah, I don't want to watch it.
It's too hard to spot, direct, referee, commentate on, manage all the graphics at the same time with checkouts and everything else. And I think that watching it on TV, people will very quickly lose interest in it after they've watched a couple of legs as a novelty. But I think if you throw darts, then most people would like to have a chuck at one just for fun.
Yeah, just for a bit of interest. That's not a bad shout. Pro-am events is quite good for.
Yeah, or charity events, or how many can you score in 9 darts, or those sort of things. They're a good crack. We did our 9 dart challenge at the Super Series as per, etc. And people love that in the Saturday night. And like that part of it was good fun. But I'm with you guys. I don't think it's going to work for a TV event or a tournament or anything like that. Fun, enjoyable, good crack, but incredibly difficult to pull off. As was spinning until 9 p.m. because what you can do, I'd like to say exclusively, but every single media outlet now has this, is reveal the draw for the 2024 Grand Slam of Darts. The 8 groups are as follows. In Group A, Luke Humphries, James Wade, Mickey Mantle, and Roby John Rodriguez. Group B, Danny Noppert, Martin Schindler, Cameron Menzies, and the reigning WWF Women's World Champion and PDC Women's World Matchplay Champion Bo Greaves. In Group C, Rob Cross, Peter Wright, Martin Lukeman, and Leonard Gates. Group D, Dave Chisnell, Ross Smith, Richie Edhouse, and Connor Scutt. Group E, Michael Smith, Mike Dedecker, Jermaine Watamena, and Mentor Sulovic. Group F, Dimitri Vandenberg, Luke Littler, Keen Barry, Lawrence Alagan. Group G, Michael Van Gerwen is reunited with Gary Anderson once again, Ryan Joyce, and Noah Lynn Van Leuven. And in Group H, Stephen Bunting, Josh Rock, Gian Van Veen, and Wessel Nyman. One of the questions in the chat room earlier was, can you tell us if there's a group of death?
Yeah.
That Group H is pretty special in there, isn't it, gents?
Do you know, there's so much to enjoy. Do we want to put it back on the screen just so people can...
We do. I was just going to flash it up once again, but I thought I'd just get your instant reactions to this one.
I love it. I mean, needless to say, Group H is an absolute horror show if you're in that.
It's just so open, is it? They've all got ridiculous A games. They all play at a beautiful pace, by the way. It's going to be so watchable in Group H, as opposed to, I don't think Group A is the quickest. I think Luke Humphries might struggle with a pace in that one, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
It's not ideal for him. Group D makes for a good watch as well, doesn't it? With Connor, Richie, Ross Smith, and Chizzy in there. That'll be played at a pretty good pace and be a good watch. I
tell you what, I'm looking forward to. So there's a couple of, obviously there's individual matches that that you can pick out. Walk-ons and entrances, whatever you want to call it. Peter Wright against Leonard Gates. Lot to like about that. We're going to have some dancing up and down the stage and entrance music. So, yeah, Peter Wright and Leonard Gates is an interesting one. I
feel like I have to come off just to ruin this for you for one moment. Very likely to be joint walk-ons.
Joint walk-ons, in it? Oh, for fuck's sake.
Very likely. Not confirmed, but very likely.
Well, that's
Apology.
pissed on my tips.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Although, if it is joint walk-ons, then I expect Peter Wright and Leonard Gates to get together on the afternoon and
choreograph something out of the steps of S Club 7.
Correct.
Early
I expect
2000s handbook.
yes. If we could if Sophie May can get them both in a room, teach them a few steps, get them together, get them sorted, then 100% Peter Wright and Lenny need to get that planned. If you aren't looking forward to Luke Littler against Lawrence Ilagan, then I'm sorry to inform you, you don't like darts. You aren't a darts fan. Now, as soon as I saw that, the first thing, like everyone else got a group of death, who's getting through? I scanned through and it's like, where's the pretty match? Where's the pretty match? Where's the lovely game? That is a pretty match, isn't it? Luke Littler against Lawrence Ilagan, I have got all the time in the world for.
If that's not last game of the night, then someone's absolutely ruined it by putting it on too early.
There's also, I think, there's people, like, let's be honest, there's people in there that are in trouble. I think Noah Lynn's in a world of pain.
Yeah, that could have been a lot kinder, that draw.
That is, I mean, and it's nothing against Noah Lynn. I think any qualifier stroke player outside the top 16 going into that with Michael and Gary and the way that we've seen Ryan Joyce playing lately and the levels we've seen him achieve, then I think that is a really tough. I think Noah's going to really struggle to come out of that. I think Group D's wide open. I think any one of those four tops it, and any one of the other four finishes second. I think it's a complete.
That's generally the way it works, Dan.
I mean, my prediction will be correct. I think, Cam. I think you'll find
someone will win it, and someone will finish second.
Someone in that group.
I'm not going to argue with you on that.
What else do I'm struggling.
Group E with Michael Smith, Mike the Dicker, and Jermaine Wassamina in there. Plus, obviously, we know what Mensah can do when he's at it as well. That's a tough group as well.
Yeah, a little bit depends which Mensah turns up. I think there's not a lot that's underwhelming, but I think Group B is probably the hardest to get excited about, isn't it? Even with Cam Menzies and Paul Greaves in, I think with the greatest respect to all the players, just in terms of the matches that we're likely to see, and the kind of matchups and the pace and the way that we think those games will be played.
I think A is the worst, but then B is very close.
Yeah, and C's not a million miles away either. But I think that we've definitely seen up and down form from Peter Wright, like definitely through the course of the year. And Rob Cross, while he's played some brilliant stuff, is prone every now and again to hoy a stinker in. So I think that does open the door a little bit for maybe for Smash. We've seen him find.
I think he could find that very
on big stages as well, and I think Lukeman could do some damage in that group.
Well, hold that thought, because you know what time it is. We are going to predict our group winners and group runners up. That's what falls on us now. Thanks for holding the thought very briefly. So, chat room, get involved in this bit as well. We're going to work through the group, say who we think are going to win each group, who's going to finish runner-up in each group. You probably need to write these down as you go, gents, because then we need to pick our semi-finalists, finalists, etc., etc.
All right, because we've got Wikipedia's updated now.
Someone's been sat there waiting for it as well.
Someone's been typed very quickly into Wikipedia, so now I can have a couple of windows open.
Indeed. Well, I'm going to whack it back up on screen anyway. I'll just work our way around. So, folks, you at home can see the draw and play along with us, unless.
What are you thinking here? You've had a thought here, and anything could go wrong now.
Yeah.
What are you considering trying to do there? Whatever it is, his ears haven't caught up with it anyway.
I'm trying to get it so it's a feature in the middle and us three down the side.
We never set up for that, don't we? Surely.
Yes.
We must have a layout for that somewhere.
You need to share a window.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get somewhere where we've got it up, is all.
Whilst Gob finds that, if you are in the chat room, please, I mean, if you don't say Ilagan and Littler, you're probably wrong. What is the pick of the opening round? What is the game you are most looking forward to? I mean, we might see a few. We might see some MVG against Gary Anderson. But folks in the chat room, while we pull a graphic together, what is the pick? What is the best game that we will see, do you think, in round number one? What are you most looking forward to?
I'm going to throw one in. I think what might turn out to be the best game of this round is Connor Scutt Ross Smith. That has got the potential to be a ridiculously good game.
Yeah. I mean, can't disagree. The level could be very high.
That's what I mean. We could be talking like 110 apiece. And it's also as likely that we see 89 apiece. But
Warren picking Wade Humphreys is an interesting one. I imagine
very low on my list.
There's a lot of people I think will agree. Bob has you know, I would never have shared that, but it came in at the last second just as I was about to click.
No,
it off. Bob's gone. Bob's agreed, and Bob's remembered. If you remember, you always get your stuff on the screen. But he's also gone with Humphreys and Wade as the
fantastic work, Mr. Garwood.
Look at that. We got her in the end.
What's your lane gone? Ed House and Smith? That's not a bad shout.
That's right up there. I think Group D is really, really good. Like, I'm a massive fan of Group D.
Oh, well done. This is good. It's also minimised my massive baldy head on the screen, which is good.
Right.
There's only so small that can go, to be fair.
Order. The issue with this is I was going to write my answers down on my Mac, and now I cannot. So it's going to have to
put your notes on your phone like a normal person, like I'm about to do.
Group A. Dan, let's start with you.
Oh, wow.
This is your winner and runner-up.
Luke Humphreys wins, James Wade runner-up. So it's one of the few I don't have to really do any thinking about.
Agree, move on.
I also agree, which probably means that won't happen. Nothing is ever that simple, but we're going with that. On to Group B. I think this is a little bit more difficult to pick, you know. So, Cam, I'm going to start with you first. Welcome back to the moment.
Yeah, nice one. Cheers for that, pal. Schindler, Noppert. Schindler top, Noppert second.
Dan?
Menzies top. Schindler second.
I've gone Menzies top, but I've gone Bo Greaves second.
Oof. That's bold.
I mean, she's got a chance.
Yeah, I think that's a lovely group for Bo. I don't think there's anyone in there that is particularly overly aggressive in their nature.
Noppert playing pretty well.
Responsive to. They are playing pretty well. Yeah, look, Schindler's won a Euro Tour. Noppert's done well enough to qualify for this, but I think Bo could get out of this group, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's bolder putting Menzies as the group
winner.
Well,
yeah, I think
fantastic.
I'll be honest, for me, I don't see Menzies getting out of this group. I don't think I've just not seen enough on a stage from him. We've seen it off the stage, but I just think on the stage when it really matters, I'm not sure we've seen enough.
On to Group C, and we're back to Dan to go first.
Rob Cross wins. Martin Lukeman comes second.
Cameron.
Surprise, Mr. Simpson picks the two men with the big bald heads. But I'm agreeing with you. And obviously I recognise there are more than two people with big bald heads in this group, but yeah, I'm going to go the other way, though. I'm going Lukeman wins it and Cross second.
I've got Cross 1, Lukeman 2. Peter Wright's been... Have we all just written off Peter Wright in one swift move?
Yeah, very, very rapidly between us there. Just decided that in that group, if you've got her, you've got no chance.
Interesting.
If he shaves off the Mohican before he gets to his first round game, then maybe he'll get through. But
where do we get to? Group D. This one is very, very interesting.
It's very hard to pick, is what it is.
It is. I think it's me as well now, isn't it?
It is Cam first.
Yeah. Ross Smith wins it. Connor Scutt second. Little hangover for Ed House from winning the Europeans, doesn't perform as well. So yeah, that's the way I'm going.
Dan?
Chisnell wins. Ross Smith is second.
I've agreed with one of you. I've got Ross Smith 1, Connor Scutt 2.
Yeah. It's a little bit, I've gone a little bit heart over head. But
you're manifesting, you two.
Yeah.
Group E. I'll go first. I've got them in order of what the group says. Michael Smith 1, Mike Dedecker 2.
Who's next?
Well, I've got the same qualifiers in a different order. I've got Dedecker 1 and Smith 2.
We're making this rather...
I know what you're fancying.
Oh, no, we're making this rather boring because I'm the same. I've got Mike the Dicker as number 1 and I've got Michael Smith as number 2.
Any opportunity.
I will forever call him that. I'm never going to be anything else now. And so...
It's like Barry Keane, isn't it? It's just going to stick.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's always Barry Keane.
He's done nothing to earn this name.
It's his online darts name.
Yeah, plenty in.
I think it's like a special little badge of honour when you get your own online darts name, isn't it?
Yeah. Lendor said, "Is the post-group bracket the same as far as we are aware?"
Yeah, we don't know any
I've
different.
not been sent anything to the contrary. Let me double check my emails. As we carry on.
Group F. Group F we are going to next. Unfortunately, I think, well, not unfortunately on the first one, Littler wins this group, but unfortunately I do think Dimmy comes second. Whereas I'd like to just see the chance of getting Littler Ilagan again in a couple of rounds' time. I just don't see it happening.
I've got exactly the same again.
Yeah,
Littler 1, Dimmy 2.
Yeah, move on. No, I don't. So, in fact, I've written, so on my notes app, as I've gone along, I've actually written Littler and Barry.
This is the quickest we've ever had anyone change a prediction, because like usually, like between like a fallout and like the next night, we've completely changed our predictions. But you've changed within a second.
I wrote it down and then said a different one. That's what I did because I was that.
Top tier.
But I just Dimitri's been so in and out and so up and down, and Kane Barry really, really did show some consistent. Whitewash Josh Payne looked really good the other day. But I'll stick with what I've written down. Why not? Littler wins. Barry Keane finishes second. Dimitri crashes out early.
Interesting. Group G, the El Clasico of darts, is back, but are they the two to make it out of the group? Cameron?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm going to go for Gary winning it.
Oh.
I think he beats MBG in their game, and that gives him top spot. But would I be surprised if Joyce upsets one of them and ends up in that spot? No. But I do just think that these two are the two that get out of it.
Dan?
Oh, God, this is hard. Michael Van Joyce and Gary Joyce.
Yeah, Dan's really struggling because he's only got one Northeast player he can pick.
Yeah. If Derby was in the group as well, it'd simplify it. I could just go join some Derby.
Scotland's closer to the to the Northeast than anything else.
Yeah,
if that helps you.
I think it's really tough because we've seen a lot from Ryan lately.
Yeah. I say I would not be shocked one little bit if he is in there, but
Michael Van Gerwen wins. Ryan Joyce comes second.
oh, he's gone for it.
Yeah.
Michael Van Gerwen comes second. Ryan Joyce wins the group.
Oh, it's gone in with both feet.
I liked his approach the other week. I thought he looked really good. I think there's going to be a lot of focus on Van Leuven in this group. I think there's going to be a lot of focus on the Van Gerwen-Anderson rivalry. Gary said it himself in an interview that I deleted from the back end, which would have been perfect for now, where he said, I don't particularly enjoy the build-up, but I enjoyed the game when he played Michael just a few weeks ago at the European Championships.
There might be enough other things going on for Ryan Joyce
to just go about it and do damage.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm going with that one. On to the final group, Group H. Good luck picking this one, boys. If anybody gets this in order of the four, fair play.
Yeah, you're right. It's really difficult, but I know what's going to happen. And
I like that. I know what's going to happen. No, he's not questioning it. He's not having a.
No, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. Stephen Bunting will finish second. Wessel Nyman will win the group.
I've also got Wessel Nyman winning the group, but I've got Josh Rock second.
It's getting a bit worrying.
Again, with the caveat of if it's anyone else that finishes first and anyone else that finishes second, I will not be surprised.
And well, what's strange is you pretty much if you did a reshuffle on these, if you reshuffled this draw, I'd have pretty much any one of those four coming through.
Yeah.
Every other group in at least
group
second. You know, I think if you switch them out for anyone, I'd have them finishing second in that group.
Yeah.
Really tough.
I've copied Cam. I've gone Josh Rock 1, Nyman 2. I think it's carnage.
You're not quite copying me then. You've gone the other way around. But...
You got Nyman winning the group?
Yeah, Nyman and then Rock.
Yeah, I've got Rock to win this group. I'm just trying to think. I remember not Van Veen winning his final game last year, but not making it out of the group. Was he in something similarly difficult then?
I think so, yeah.
Gerwyn Price, Ryan Searle, Nathan Rafferty, Gian Van Veen didn't win a game in that group. We'll have scar damage from that, but none of the players in that group with him have. If you've told me last year the other group of Price, Searle, Rafferty, and Van Veen, Gian would be the only player returning in 2024, I'd have slapped you.
No, there's a lot. It made me flick back there when you mentioned Van Veen's group last year. There is an awful lot of players that played last year that aren't here this year, isn't there? Loads of them.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 19 players are different.
19 players out of 32.
That's mental.
Honestly, I was as we talked about Van Veen's last year, I thought, I'll flick to last year. And I was just scanning down. I was like, nope. And he's not. Wow. Like there's
carnage.
Well, there's whole groups almost. There's a lot of the groups from last year. You look at them and you're like, oh, there's one of the three is back this year. You know, so it'd be like Group B.
Group H last year, Aspinall, Hector, Greaves, Petretsko. Petretsko's had a fantastic year. Aspinall's a Premier League player. Hector's won multiple titles, but Bo Greaves is the one returning.
Yeah.
And well, you look, so like Group B last year, Rock, Dobie, Clayton, Berry, Van Peer. Only Josh Rock this year. Group D, Price, Searle, Rafferty, Van Veen. Van Veen, the only one that's still here this year. Group F, Muramatsu, Dolan, Gilding, Nopper. Only one of them through this year. Like, it's mad.
It has been absolute carnage. That's annoying. So the PDC have sent through their email with the draw on, etc. Obviously, we had it a little bit before, but it doesn't mention knockout format. It's literally got the groups listed.
You don't need to know what the knockout format is before a tournament, do we? We'll just make it up as we go along.
Correct.
My concern is the way the groups are laid out. A, B, C, D is 1, 8, 4, 5. So they have given double protection again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked at that.
Yeah, because it is. So I think what will end up, it'll be winner of 1 plays runner-up of B, vice versa, all the way down the draw.
Yeah, but then that's not the issue. It's the fact that winner of A plays runner-up of B and runner-up of A plays winner of B, but then the winner of those matches play each other again. So the two Group A players knock each other out again at that point. If you play each other in a group, the next time you should be able to play each other is the final.
Yeah.
And yeah, but there'll be certain players that will be pleased with that, because if you expand that a bit wider, you might think, well, that is then a very favourable bracket for Luke Littler in terms of what we are expecting from the other players in that in that group, in that bracket, if you want to call it that, to be able to come in and pose. What it does is it makes that Group G, Group H scenario an absolute car crash.
More ridiculous, doesn't it?
Like, because how could you make Group H worse? Well, if you want to get through that and play one of those again, you've got to get past Van Gerwen, Anderson, and Joyce. It's brutal.
It is indeed. Right, we need to, from the players we've selected into the first and second positions, between Group A and Group B, we need to pick a semi-finalist. Group C and D, a semi-finalist. E and F, a semi-finalist. G and H, a semi-finalist. So I need 4 names for a semi-final, and then a winner from you both, please.
Okay. We're going to go quarter by quarter, so semi-finalist.
Yeah. So quarter by quarter is Group A and Group B together. So the 4 players that I had getting out of their groups were Luke Humphries, James Wade, Cameron Menzies, and Bo Greaves. And I'm going to say Luke Humphries makes it to the semi-finals.
Yeah, I had Humphries, Wade, Schindler, and Nopper. And Martin Schindler makes a semi-final.
Please bear in mind the length of match in the knockout stages. But continue, Daniel.
You're a maniac. It's Luke Humphries.
I know it is, but we've agreed on basically everything. I need to throw something different in there.
Yeah, you do. You did well on that, taking that for the team. I just think it's very, very difficult in most scenarios when Luke Humphries is playing a game to pick against him. It's even harder to pick against him when I think he's got probably arguably the most favourable quarter. Yeah. And I think he's the best player in the world in probably the most favourable quarter, so he's going to get there.
I think there's an argument the third quarter's a little bit more favourable.
I was going to say, yeah, I'd probably lean towards
Group B has plenty of players in it that can explode and go berserk. It's just how quickly can Luke respond to that over an extended distance that the knockout is.
I think that's what you'll need.
If this is a shorter knockout format, I think Luke might be undone a little bit, or there's an opportunity for it. I think where he's going to excel is the fact that in races to 10, even if Cameron Menzies goes berserk for 8 legs, think he'll start thinking about it a little bit too much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if Luke
Gets out
Humphries
of the
had to work his way through those three, the best. I think he'd be over the moon to meet a Cam Menzies and play at a pace, and I think that's where we'll see Luke up his level, which we've seen previously. We've seen loads of Luke in the last year play to the level slightly above his opponent, and he needs stuff coming at him to lift it. And I think if he gets that from a Menzies or someone else, that's when he'll kick on even further.
Yeah.
Okay, into the second quarter to draw Group C and D. Cam, who do you think is going to come from that, and who were your 4 players to get?
I've got Lukeman, Cross, Ross Smith, and Connor Scutt. And I think that Ross Smith gets out of that next semi-final.
Daniel?
I've got Cross, Lukeman, Chisnell, and Smith. And I think, can it be? Could it be? It could. Dave Chisnell.
I'm seeing that a lot in the chat room. This is Chisnell's best chance to win a major in so long and whatever else. And my concern for that line is...
it is a major makes me want to write that off as an idea.
Well, we've heard that 100 times.
How many bloody times have we heard the line, this is Chisnell's best chance to win?
That's what
He's
I mean.
in the best form going in, etc. Like, I just cannot be... Until he does it, I can't back him to do it. I don't think I ever will. But what I am going to back is Rob Cross to make the semi-finals.
Yeah, I don't mind that pick. I was between Cross and Smith.
I think Ross Smith is exceptional, but I just think Rob Cross will drain the life out of a Ross Smith over a severe format that you get in a quarterfinal.
Yeah.
Onto the third.
Oh, we've seen Ross Smith do it over extended sort of formats, though.
We have at the European Championships, but not quite the monster that the Slam becomes, because it's basically a mini match play, isn't it, with a group stage? Yeah. On to the third quarter of the draw, then Groups E and F, headlined by Michael Smith, Dimitri van der Berg as the senior players, Luke Littler included as well. I can't believe I'm going to say this. He's just got a knack, hasn't he?
Don't.
He's just got a knack of rocking up in TV events. I think the fact that he's got them in the group means that he avoids him in the first knockout game, potentially plays him again, but will already have that history. I think Dimmy does it. I don't think this is the best Michael Smith we've seen. I think actually one of the worst Michael Smiths we've seen in a long time. I think Dimmy wins quarter 3.
You'll be doing the fucking Fallout on your own that night.
Yeah, I was just going to say exactly that.
Right. Who did I have? I had Decker and Smith coming through, and Littler. See, there's no risk of this. I didn't even have him getting out the group.
Yeah, you're all right. You're safe.
It's Luke Littler. Lukey.
I've got the Dicker, Smith, Littler, and Dimmy. And I think it's Littler.
You agree with me, don't you? You actually agree with me because you just got this horrid knack of making it.
I think it's Littler. I think he just rocks up and just does silly things the first times he plays in things. I think he'll come through it.
Fair enough. On to the final section. Good luck picking this. If Group H was carnage enough, throw into the mix potential Van Gerwyn's and Gary Anderson's. Holy shit.
I've got Gandor, MVG, Nyman, and Rock. And I haven't got a bloody clue. I haven't got a clue.
Gary Anderson's head-to-head against Josh Rock isn't that great from memory.
No. When I haven't got a clue, though, then we just go heart over head and we pick Gary Anderson.
Well, I feel like in the absence of Phil Bars, if you pick Gary Anderson and I pick Michael Van Gerwen, it'll just be like having him here, won't it?
Yeah.
It'll be like,
Between us, it's a 2-man job to be Phil Bars.
So I had MVG and Joyce, Nyman and Bunting, and I think that Michael Van Gerwen beats Nyman in that second knockout. And yeah, Michael Van Gerwen.
Which part of Phil Bars do you want to be, Gob? Because we're both part of Phil Bars. Are you being part of Phil Bars as well?
I'm being the antagonist.
What's the surprise?
I've got
change
Nyman.
the habits of a lifetime.
I've got Nyman.
I had Nyman.
I was tempted. I think we all thought about it.
I have MVG knocking Nyman out.
Yeah. I'm going Nyman.
And beating him at darts.
I was going to say, be a decent watch. I was trying not to. I was leaving Gob to his podcast.
Yeah, so my 4 players to make the semi-finals: Luke Humphries, Rob Cross, Dimitri Vandenberg, Wessel Nyman.
This is where I've stopped writing mine down. And I forgot.
Oh, right, I'm on the notes app, like me. Here he is.
I forgot that we had to carry on writing them down because we need to pick a winner. Are we picking finalists and a winner, or are we just picking a winner?
Just a winner, please.
Just a winner.
Who wins the 2024? I believe it is still Mr. Vegas.
It is Mr. Vegas. And it is.
What's on that graphic we had up before?
Let's be honest as well, and it's worth pointing out, one of the nicest and most enjoyable stages to look at.
Oh, yeah, it's a pretty one.
Over the course of the year. I'm happy to say, are they sponsoring the Fallout? They're not, are they? Well,
No.
No. Bang average stage.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd say on the poor end of average.
Yeah, worse than that.
Easy. Luke wins.
Which one?
What?
Come on.
It's
like saying Michael wins the year before in the World Championship final. Come on now.
He just does.
So who plays? Hang on, so I need to.
So I've got my bracket.
A, B, C, and D are one half of the draw. So anybody.
Yeah.
My bracket has got Luke Humphries defeating Dave Chisnell in a semi-final, and it's got Luke Littler defeating Michael Van Gerwen in a semi-final, and then in the final, Luke Littler, he just does special things, doesn't he? And he's overdue. I'm not saying he's overdue a win, because that's not.
He's not won for a couple of months.
No, but that's like, I'm not saying he's overdue a major win, because if the lad never won a major again, he's delivered everything anyone could ever want from him in darts. He's entertained the masses. But I think he's overdue doing something special, and he does special things, and I think that he will win. And he'll win where I think he'll win well. I think he'll win about 16-10 in the final. Luke Littler beats Luke Humphries 16-10.
So I've got Schindler, Ross Smith, which I've got Ross Smith coming through. And then I've got Littler against Gando, which I think Littler comes through. And I can't do anything but agree with Dan Simpson that I think over that long format of the first to 16 final, I think he'll be too good over that format, and I think Littler wins it as well.
I think Luke Humphries wins. Plain and simple.
Thank fuck you didn't pick Dimmy to win it anyway.
I think the last 2 events have been a missed opportunity for Luke Humphries. He could have been even more dominant than he already is. I think if you'd offered him the opportunities and seen the draws in the Grand Prix unfold the way it is and the last 8 of the European Championships, he'd have snapped your hand off pre-tournament, and to not convert either of them will hurt Luke. And I think he puts that right here, and in some fashion as well. I think he's going to steamroll people.
I think he will do to a point. And I think he will do to a point. And then it'll get tough.
Yeah, Ibrahim, you keep saying RWB. We're presuming you mean Van Barneveld. He didn't qualify for the
Confused.
Grand
I was who's at right wing back? I thought we were back on the. I thought we were back on the darts players as a football team.
Where is Aaron Wan-Bissaka? He's a footballer, mate.
Yeah, we've done that. We've done the 10 minutes of filling we had to do to make up time in the draw. We could have done darts football team, then fantasy darts football team.
We could have. Right. We need to move on because there is still plenty to talk about. So let's do this. That's the Grand Slam complete. We'll be back next week for that. No, we won't be back next Monday because of the Grand Slam, but there will be Fallout bars every day. So keep an eye out on that because it's likely to be these 3 mugs sat here doing the majority of them.
More likely than not, yes.
Part of the reason we need to move on is we did the draw for this, but actually we now need to discuss it because it is approaching very, very quickly this Friday and Saturday. It is the Bet Goodwin World Seniors Masters. Again, a bit more predicting on this one, boys. It's becoming a bit of a predicting show. I'm just going to leave this one up here. We'll run through the draw very, very quickly for those of you at home. John Henderson will take on Scott Mitchell. Lisa Ashton will take on Superman Matt Clark. Martin Adams and Chris Mason get to renew their rivalry from way over 20 years ago now. I hope you're listening to Mace, because that'll make you feel a bit old. Paul Hogan will take on Glenn Dorrant in the bottom half of the draw. Former 2-time World Seniors World Champion Robert Thornton will take on Trina Gulliver. In fact, I think the Masters is the only event he's not won.
Agreed.
Takes on Trina Gulliver to start his campaign. Neil Duff will take on Daryl Fitton. Richard Rowland, who was in remarkable form throughout the qualifying weekend, making 4 finals out of a possible 4, winning 2 of them, takes on Andrew Cately, a first-time qualifier from Essex, I believe. And Richie Howson, the number 2 seed, will take on Tony O'Shea. Let's race down through these games, chaps, giving our predictions on who wins each of them. I believe the first round is first of 4 sets, and it is the old World Masters style, 4 sets, so it's best of 3 legs in each of those sets. Match number 1, John Henderson, Scott Mitchell. I'm going to be honest, I get to spend a lot of time with both of these quite regularly, either through the Super Series or through Seniors Floor events. Neither of them will thank us for this draw at all. This is the Chris Mason, Neil Duff from the match play a few weeks ago, Dan. But which of them prevails in this one?
I don't want either of them to go out, really. It seems a real shame that thank you. It seems a real shame that they're going to meet each other in the first round. However, I've just seen too much from John Henderson, and we saw too much from him in York at the Barbican. He's been incredibly dominant this year, and I don't see him succumbing to a first round loss. So I think it's John Henderson 4-2.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there. I think Hendo's just playing a little bit too well, so I think he comes through, Scotty.
Yeah, I've not seen a lot of Scott of late. Been back playing a bit of WDF stuff for England. I do think Hendo looked so good the other week once again, though. So that's where I'm going. I've got to ask, a little bit of a distraction. Is that the Mark King, the snooker player, in the chat room?
Don't know.
He's gone Big John 4-2. If it is, then I'm not going to comment on his prediction for the final players of the Grand Slam, which was dropped in earlier. If not, I'm going to carry on because he's a bit bigger than me. On to this second game in the top half of the draw, Lisa Ashton against Matt Clark. Matt's been struggling a little bit health-wise, wasn't at his brilliant best in the match play. Can he do anything to stop the Lancashire Rose, or a woman on a mission, as her walk-on song said?
No, I don't think he can. I think Lisa comes through this.
Dan?
I think, yeah, I tipped the fact that a few weeks ago you could get 3-1 for Lisa Ashton in that opening round against Paul Hogan. I relentlessly told everyone to jump all over it, and I know some people did, and some people messaged and said that they'd made a few quid. Dan's tip for the opening round is back Lisa Ashton again. I think I don't know what, I can't see the odds. Can't see the odds in front of me at the minute.
I don't believe the individual match odds are out as
yet.
Yeah,
I don't think they've been priced yet, which is why I can't see them. But she was overpriced hugely in York, and I think Lisa wins. And do you know what? I think it'll be pretty dominant as well. I say pretty dominant. I'll go 4-2 again. I think that's where I'm at. 4-2.
He wishes, but he does play snooker. Fair enough. In that case, your prediction for the Grand Slam was mental. I'm going to go Clark. I think he's overdue it. He's worked bloody hard to get himself up there, and to finish this year without putting his stamp on it, I think will hurt him. So I'm going to say Matt Clark. I think this one goes deep, though. Martin Adams against Chris Mason. Friend of the show is Mace. I know just how hard he's been working, and I think he gives Martin a bit of a toweling. I think it's going to be bloody brilliant. No pressure, Mace. I think he does a job on Martin pretty nicely as well.
Yeah, I think what we saw, let's be honest, we did his legs in York for the match play because he had to play Neil Duff in an opening round, and whilst it was a superb game, it didn't allow Mace to sort of develop into the tournament and build up some form, and then but his throw looked gorgeous. Like, he looked really sharp, and there was visits he had to the board that it made you think, like, shit, it's back. He's right at it. And I was lucky enough to speak to Martin quite a bit, both that weekend and then the week before in Whitby, and I don't think Martin is able at the minute to put in the work that Chris is putting in. And I just think Chris is working a lot harder for it at the minute. And I think I agree with you. I think it'll be pretty dominant. I think it's a 4-1 victory for Mace.
Yeah, I don't think I can really go against anything that you two have said there. I think you've pretty much summed it up well. That I just think, like you say, the work he's putting in will just be the deciding factor, I think.
That's where I'm going. So we round off the top half of the draw with Paul Hogan against Glenn Durrant. I did see Glenn having a bit of a practice last week whilst he was down in Portsmouth. Will that be enough, Dan, to get him past Crocodile Dundee?
In the 4 years that I've been doing these streams, I've never picked against Glenn Durrant. And I'm told that this could be the last competitive darts game he ever plays. So even just for nostalgia, I'll be buggered if I'm going to start doing it now and he wins 4-0. 4-0.
We must stand our ground and fight. That's what
we've been at this for years, and I'm not giving it up on his last match. Jesus.
No, that would be very poor.
Yeah.
I admire that. Cameron?
Wait till he sees me with the fucking suitcase of shit. I'm going to get him to sign as well.
Yeah, I think he's not going to have a chance to do any practice because of the suitcase of shit that Dan Simpson's going to take for him to sign. So, on that logic, I think he gets beat.
He's going to have to sign me chest before I get to the tattoo artist on Sunday morning.
I, too, have Hogan. I think they've got history, these two, haven't they? Hogan probably owes him one from the Lakeside as well. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think this is where he gets his revenge. Bottom half of the draw, we start with Robert Thornton against Trina Gulliver. I'll be honest, I felt for Robert the other week. He didn't play his best at the Super Series in the week that was run by John Henderson, not even making it to Saturday, which is quite unheard of in Rob's realm. He's been there 14 times and made Saturday at least 11 of those. It might even be 12. Are we concerned that Trina could get the job done here? For Robert, not concerned for that sounded really bad then. Is it a concern that the form is waning a little bit and Trina Gulliver presents a dangerous threat, given that she's put in some lovely performances, just hasn't got the results for them when she's been up on a senior stage so far?
Yeah, I think we see more of the same, though. I think she plays well again, but doesn't get over the line. I think Thornton just... Yeah, it's dipped a little bit, but I think he's still a quality player who will do enough when it matters.
Rob Thornton assured me that he was winning this event. And whilst I'm not 100% convinced that he's got it exactly right with his prediction, I definitely think he has enough to get through to the Saturday. I think even if we see a dip in form from Rob Thornton from what we've seen, Trina, and she's played some lovely darts this year, and last year as well, but I just don't think it'll reach the level in that set play over that format as well. I don't think it'll reach the level to threaten Robert Thornton. I think he wins 4-1.
I too am going Thornton, but I think it's a lot closer. I think this is 4-3 territory. I think Trina really gives Robert a scare here. Into the next one, Neil Duff against Daryl Fitton. I'm going to leave this one off. I just think the sheer volume of darts that Neil Duff is playing and the tenacity and now the experience he's had up on a senior stage throughout the last couple of years, I think he does the job on Daryl. I like Daryl. I think he's fantastic and has been one of the players that has got invites but has also attended floor events in the past. But I just think Neil Duff is, as May said, rightly so, he's virtually still a full-time dart player doing the circuit more than most, and that's going to carry him through this opening round for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, to be honest, to offer much more insight other than, it is a bit what he said. Neil Duff is a very high-level dart player who's playing arguably more darts than anybody else at this event. So, he's an incredibly talented player who's playing a lot of darts. He's playing at a good level. We didn't see the best of him in that game against Richie Howson at the Barbican, the match play, but I think that the type of bloke Neil is, that's probably it's a good thing for this tournament, because he's in that same bracket with Richie Howson. He can sort of set that rematch up a little bit. He'll probably fancy himself to get to the stage where that could be possible. I'm not saying there's any niggle between them. I think they're both great blokes, but I think that Neil might be able to look at that and take a bit of inspiration to think, well, I can go and grab a bit of revenge for that one.
Cam?
Daryl Fitton plays in my darts league, and despite only having played 3 games out of 12 or something this year, he leads the 180s and the lowest leg, and that's the only form I've got to go on. But it's obviously a very high standard if he's playing at a level that I'm playing at. So
I know where you were going with that.
For that reason, I'm picking Daryl Fitton.
I thought you were going to say Duff at the end of that as well.
I was going to do that.
2 games to go. Richard Rowlands, Andrew Catley, an all qualifier battle. Rowlands has been superb this year. As I said, 4 finals in the qualifying weekend. This is his 3rd World Seniors TV event of the season as well. A little bit of the unknown with Andrew Catley. This is by far the biggest match he'll have played in his darting career. He's had a crack at things like the Champion of Champions, Gold Cup in the past, I think it was, as well, but has never played on TV before. Rowlands has become a bit of a regular feature at the Super Series as well. Does the fact that possibly the first time he's played on a seniors TV event he goes in his favourite affect him at all?
I think the fact that we sort of know that the Friday is going to be a bit quieter in the venue. It's not going to be as busy. It's not going to be as rowdy. And it's not going to have the same feel that maybe a Saturday would. That will stop that being a thing. I think it'll allow him to just maintain a bit of a more normal feeling. And I think Richard Rowlands, I think it'll be a close game. I think he'll probably do him 4-3. But I think Richard Rowlands gets it.
Yeah, I think I'm going Rowlands as well. Very impressed with Kately getting through the qualifier, but I just think that experience carries Rowlands through.
Yeah, same as I think it's hard work playing your first game on a stage.
Yeah, and finally, Richie House and Tony O'Shea. I'm going for the Owl.
Yep, I'm with you. I just think he's...
I mean, we didn't see a great deal from Tony in the last event. You have to remember he was a very late call-up. You know, he didn't have a great deal of time to get himself ready. I have no idea where his practice was at or anything. Obviously, he's known for a good 4 weeks or so, probably maybe 3 weeks, that he was coming and playing this event. He'll come in better prepared, but I just think Richie Howson's too good. He's just too good of a player, you know.
He put a cheeky video up on his Facebook earlier as well of him practicing, going, not a snooker table in sight, as he panned around. There was one he quickly cut away from again. We need a prediction just for a winner, because I'm very conscious of time. So who wins the World Seniors Masters, please?
It's between two for me. And it's... Neil Duff.
Cam?
Well, it's definitely not Neil Duff for me, because I picked Darryl Fitton to beat him. So,
it's me, Bob, while he thinks. It'll be me. As wild as that is. It's 20 minutes away and it saves on the fuel money.
It is.
Yeah, that's it. I think... I don't think I can look past Hendo. I think he comes through it.
I've got Hendo beating Duff in the final. If that reassures you in any way.
You've got him beating him now. Have you changed your mind?
Oh, sorry. Apologies. I've got him being beat by Neil Duff. I think Hendo makes the final, but I think Neil Duff wins.
Yeah, I think Hendo I think he comes through it.
If it's worth anything, I've got Hendo, Mason, Duff, and Howson as my 4 semi-finalists.
I'm not far. I've got Hendo, Mace, Thornton, and Howson. But...
Well, no, I've got Hendo, Mace, Duff, Rowlands. Sorry, Richie. Richie's been my boy for so long, but I'm so impressed with Rowlands for a minute. And he's so smooth as well. He's had that jolty one, hasn't he, that he chucks in a bit. That wasn't there the last time I saw him play at all. It was just smooth as anything. I was like, that's the one for me. And because of that, he still loses in the semi-final. 2-0 Duff, who does beat John Henderson. I so want to give it Mace, but I just think...
It's a long way to go and win it, isn't it?
Mace's issue for the last 2 events that he's played in have been doubles in key moments. Lisa got to him at the Tavern. Duff got to him at the Masters, in the match play, sorry. And I think in short sets, John Henderson is just... He's playing Challenge Tour. He's playing as regularly as possible. Those key moments aren't as big of a deal to Hendo as a one-off thing as they are to Mace in this situation. So I'm going Duff to beat Hendo in the final. Now, a couple of minutes left on the show. I was going to run through the odds, but you can check them out pretty much with any bookmaker you want. So if you do have any questions, fire them into the chat. We're probably going to run a couple of minutes over. There was a couple of things to discuss. Last week, Super Series won on Saturday night by Scott Taylor. A very, very good performance from the man from Bolton, beating the defending champ Marvin van Velsen in the final. Exceptional week all around, including the likes of Kurt Parry, Scott Baker at finals night as well. Mark Dogbridge was superb, and there's definitely one more. And now I feel bad for not saying their name. But I've slept since then, so apologies. We also have the...
as you did mention to us, you did score a lot of games in the last few days.
Yeah.
So.
We also have the German Super League to look forward, starting tomorrow, I believe. Certainly starts very, very soon.
It's not tomorrow, it's this week, isn't it?
So if you want to catch up on any of that, head over to PDC TV to keep up with all the goings on. As I mentioned, there will be no live lounge next week because of the Grand Slam of Darts, but there will be plenty of Fallout Bars one a day throughout the week until we get to the final night, and then we'll save that content for the Monday. Once again, it is tomorrow for the Super League. Thanks for letting us know. Steve Beaton needs a mention. Steve Beaton does need a mention because the great man he's got one last chance, hasn't he? He's got the qualifier for the World Championships to get one more opportunity. I thought it was fantastic.
If some person beats him in that, they should be banned forever. DRA.
There's already people with knives out for the likes of
Niels Zonneveld.
Niels Zonneveld.
for doing a 30, but yeah, one last chance for Beaton to make the World Championships through the qualifier. I think virtually every dart fan in the world would love to give him a send-off for that, just like the players on the Pro Tour did this week, many of them dressing up as Chris Dobie. I mean, if I'd planned to show that, we'd definitely show a clip of that right now, but unfortunately we can't. As I said, any questions in the chat room, do let us know. Have we missed anything else this week? Yes, we have. Not missed yet, but the draw for the WDF World Championships takes place tomorrow. Well, it airs at 7 p.m. tomorrow, which I think means the draw's already been done, but it'll be live on their YouTube channel or the Great Game YouTube channel, whichever one it is, at 7 p.m. tomorrow night. So keep an eye out for that one as well. We might do a quick reaction video to that, but I'm not promising anything too much. Obviously, we won't be here next Monday either, so we don't want to build up too much for the week afterwards. But yes, WDF World Championship draw is tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Asia Pacific Cup is on this week, WDF event. Haven't seen that one. I did see the African events last week, which I thought was quite interesting, as 3 of the teams playing were from Asia. And there's only 5 teams. There's only 5 teams in the event.
Very important question. What is going on with that beard? What is this, Mr. Simpson? It was my first question. What is going on with your beard?
I'll tell you what's going on with it. I'm still debating whether or not to take the bottom off for a bit of Movember action. And what I thought was,
you kept the goatee for now.
Growing a bit of something in ahead of time takes me out. It gets me over that little that little bit at the beginning where it's a bit awkward. But I'm not convinced. Mrs. S thinks it's all right. Mrs. S is a fan, so it may stick around for a bit longer than I'd originally intended. But I could, by the end of the week, look like Damon Heta.
I thought you were just honouring the man, the myth, the legend, Rafa Benitez, who did such a sterling job at Newcastle.
Well, as much as it breaks my heart to say that, to say this, because I reckon I'm somewhere in the region of 25 years younger than him. I've got a lot more grey in mind than he has. I don't know quite how, but
fact, Mr. Ferguson, fact.
Yeah, I'm definitely carrying a lot more grey in mind than Rafa is, unfortunately.
A few questions in there then. Are we getting a behind-the-scenes vlog of the Seniors Club? Probably not. My workload has increased while I'm at the events, and I don't feel it's right for me to be vlogging away.
You might get one from me.
Yeah, Dan might be able to chip one in. We might be able to make one between us. I'm also at Newbury for one of the floor events the following week, so I'll see what I can do there. If not, you will definitely get one from me for the Circus Tavern next year, because that might be my last event with them, but we'll get to that at another point. Other things to look forward to, by the way, this Saturday is the Women's ADC Tour Finals. That precedes the Saturday night of the Super Series. You get a double session of darts there, full production on the Modus Super Series YouTube channel on Saturday afternoon, including the likes of Dieter Hedman, Gemma Hayter, I believe Fallon's qualified as well. The men's will be next Saturday. So yeah, double session of darts for both of them. Where do I see myself in 5 years' time? Still reffing. Actually, I'd love to commentate. I want to get off the stage and sit down. Hopefully get another shot at the at another influencer event coming up. So yes, we'll have a crack at that one. How was commentating on the quad board? It was a nightmare, absolute nightmare. The other ref that played speared 6 darts and went, haha, good luck, and just stood there laughing. Not bad. But I do love Owen. Any more questions? Let us know. Anything we've missed, chaps?
I don't think so. We mentioned the Swans 3.
Yeah, my 171 got mentioned. Yeah, but I think that's about it.
We mentioned all the important things, haven't we? See, the problem is all the stuff we would have chucked in now, even for a giggle, we had to do for 10 minutes filler as we led up to the 9 o'clock threshold of being able to release the draw. So
it has been a bit scatty tonight. Apologies for that. Obviously, the
embargo did us in.
That's a list of things to talk about, and it disappeared. And then I'm not a host, but yes, I'm going to sneeze now. No, I'm not. Right, no more questions, which means we're going to end the show. This will be available as audio only from wherever you get your podcasts. But thanks for joining us, evening chat. You have been amazing. Apologies, I haven't interacted too much with you, but when the draws came out, we were pretty constrained for time to get the Grand Slam and the World Seniors.
Yeah, we'll have to have a word with the PDC, just see if they can start announcing things about
half 8 would have been lovely. 9 o'clock, pushing it just a little bit. But keep up to date with the channel throughout the week. Plenty of content coming. There is a lovely interview with Matthew Edgar on the channel right now, talking about his season so far, his hopes for Lakeside coming up, and just a general chat around darts. All the action and interviews from the Grand Slam will be on our channel next week. Phil Bars will be in Wolverhampton for the entire week. Plus, Dan will be the man on the ground in Sunderland for World Seniors interviews as well. So you know where to go if you want to hear from any of the players in the next couple of weeks for any televised dart event you can possibly find. But thank you very much to Cam for stepping in this evening for Mr. Bars, and to Dan for his usual spot. I've been Jack Gold as well. Thanks for watching Online Darts Live Lounge, and we'll speak to you all very, very soon.